أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم أما بعد السلام عليكم. So the last few sessions we've been talking about the path of Shaytaan, and we've mentioned last time that there are 4 conditions for this journey that you make, and the end destination is Jahannam. That the path of Shaytaan, its end goal and Shaytan's mission throughout his whole life is being to misguide and to take people to Jahannam. And so we mentioned that the first is to have false belief, that the Sunni Aqidah as Muslims, and many of us, we say we're Sunni. We say we're Sunni, and some brothers will say to you, brother, are you Sunni? And then you ask them, what is Sunni? You should ask them, what is Sunni? I think 80% will not know the answer. Yeah, Sunni is, simply put, right? It's the teachings of the 2 schools, Imam Ash'ari and Imam Maturidi. Simply put, it's the teachings and to follow them, right? And then Shaytaan, he puts something else into us, which is the ignorance of our deen, of our faith. And the likes and the examples our teachers give us is like someone goes to a new city and he doesn't have a clue where to go. He's more likely that a fraudster will take him anywhere. A fraudster will come and say, oh, come here, there's a lot of good things over here, and he will take him and fraud him and steal from him. And this is what Shaytaan does when he puts ignorance in someone who doesn't know how to fast correctly, someone who doesn't know how to pray properly, someone who doesn't know how to give the zakat, someone who doesn't know the shahada or the basic tenets of the faith. Shaytaan can easily take these people wherever he wants. And this person is going to be thinking, yeah, I'm doing the right thing. Reality is he's not. Instead of acquiring good deeds, he may be acquiring sin. As we mentioned the story of the 2 brothers, where the brothers praying with najas on him. That salah is batil, it's void. Right? And then we mentioned persistence in sin without tawbah. And we also mentioned the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the 4th one is what? Pursuing sin. That Shaytaan, he puts the steadfastness of doing sin. And there's a great story of Imam Junaid al-Baghdadi, where upon occasion there was an individual who was standing to be hung, that he was going to have the capital punishment. Because he had stolen now, this was his 3rd time. So the first time he stole, had 2 witnesses, they took his hand. He stole again, so they took his other hand. He then stole for the 3rd time. And now he was standing trial, meaning that was it. 3rd strike out. And they say that Imam Junaid went to this individual and he kissed his feet. The great Imam Junaid al-Baghdadi. And his disciples, his murids were like, Ya Shaykh, why did you kiss his feet? He's a thief. And Imam Junaid goes, I did not kiss the feet of a thief. I kissed the feet of someone who's steadfast. That this individual has a skill that even though he lost both his hands, he's still stealing. He goes, I wish I had that same steadfastness in the way of Allah. So I'm kissing his skill. Because even I don't have that level of steadfastness in the deen. And then the thief, he saw this and he goes to the people, who's this man who kissed my feet? They go, he's a great Shaykh Imam. And they go, because of what he did, the thief, he became repentful. And he repented to Allah before Allah took his life. And this is the way of the awliya and the pious. They don't see the sin in you. They see the person. They see the potential. That even though that you may have a lot of power to do sin, like Khalid ibn Walid, he had great power. One time he used it to fight the Prophet. Then the other was to fight for the Prophet. Umar ibn Khattab, once again, he was someone that had great power. He was going to kill the Prophet ﷺ. And then that power turned, and now he's using it for good. And we had the greatest reign in Islamic history under the power of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu. So don't think that, oh, I'm a big sinner. Because the bigger sinner you are, you can turn that power into the biggest good. Right? That's what the pious teach us. And the Shaytaan was like this. He was one of the most abid, the most worshippers of Allah. Because there's not one place on earth he hasn't done the sujood. And he was in the heavens. How many prophets do you know got into heaven? whilst they were alive on dunya. Only we know, and came back to the dunya. The only one we know is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam with Isra Mi'raj. All the other prophets, they were taken and they were taken and they stayed there. They never returned except for Isa alayhi salam. But the Shaytaan is an individual that he is so good that he went to heavens while he was alive. But then guess what? The same power he used to worship Allah, he's now using that same power to what? Disobey Allah. So don't think that if you're just as bad, don't think, oh no, there's no chance for me. No, you should be steadfast in just doing the good. Right? So the Shaytaan, this is what he gets you into this rhythm or in this pattern of 4 things that we mentioned. And when he's got you in here, he's got his tentacles around you, and he's surrounded you now with these 4, you have to get out. Because if you don't, you're stuck. And now if you're stuck, this is what's going to happen now. There's now 4 other stages. So these are the conditions that he builds upon. Ignorance, false belief. And they go, the first level is, he starts with your nafs, he starts with your desires. And they go, the desire is like a child. The nafs is something our bodies are given. When we are born, it helps us to live, because a child, what does a child do when he's born? He wants milk, he wants this, because he needs that to survive. But the job of a parent is what? To tame the nafs. Yeah, so teach the nafs how to want the food, but have it and ask in a good time and eat it in the right time. That the child may want something which is bad for the child, it's up to the parent to stop them. Oh, you want a sweet? Okay, have a sweet. Keep having more sweets. Oh, you want to eat all night? Okay, eat. No, as a parent, you set the boundaries for your child. And when they grow up, that will give them success when they have that boundary. Because if a child has no boundary when they're a child and they're indulging in their nafs, then believe you and me, when they're an adult, they're going to do the same. Because they're habituated to treating the nafs whenever they want. I want to watch TV, okay, putter. I want sweets, okay, putter. I want this toy, okay, putter. I want this out. It's the nafs, and you're just feeding it, thinking, yeah, I'm doing good for my child. No, you're actually destroying the child. You're actually destroying the child. And so the nafs, it inclines towards the evil. For example, greed. And they say that you keep acting upon the greed until it goes to the second stage, which is what? The heart. That when you act upon greed, because your nafs, it wants money, it wants fame, it wants all of these things. It's natural. But then what happens? That greed then enters a heart, and it becomes established, and it becomes a characteristic. That if someone has lust, that someone wants to watch something haram online, their desire comes. He maybe doesn't want to, he's never done it before. But something comes and he now entertains it. The next time it comes, he entertains it again and again and again until what? It becomes an addiction, until it becomes a trait in the heart. And now it's an addiction. Now for him to remove it is very difficult. The time you're meant to remove it is on the first strike. But when you keep on entertaining it, they go, now the second level happens, where the sin, the greed, jealousy, pride, these sins or these characteristics, they become stapled, they become a habit, they become a quality in the heart. And our teachers, they tell us, and I'll finish on this, that it is like, the quality is like a fortress in the heart. So you can imagine the picture of the heart, and inside the heart are little fortresses. So imagine a fortress of greed, imagine a fortress of pride, all of these, what we call sinful traits. And around these fortresses are little soldiers. They're protecting that sin, they're protecting that quality. And so what you do is you start bringing good qualities into the heart to then fight. So if you have pride, or you have arrogance, or you don't have humility, you bring in sincerity. You bring in the opposite quality. And when you keep on doing that, those soldiers, the good quality soldiers, are going to now start attacking that fortress of evil. And eventually what will happen to the greed or the pride? So if you've got greed, you bring in charity, you bring in generosity. And you keep bringing it to what? Both cannot stay together. You can't be greedy and generous at the same time. It's either one or the other. Right? And our teachers, they're given a similitude, the story of the donkey in the well. And I'll finish on this. The donkey in the well. Once upon a occasion, there was a donkey that fell in the well, and the people went to the mufti, the local mufti. They go, "Yeah, mufti, the donkey fell in the well. What should we do?" He goes, "Okay." He goes, "Get 100 buckets of water and just take," you know the people who've done the fiqh of wells, right? They go, "Take 100 buckets out, it will clean the water." They go, "Okay, mufti, that no problem." They go back, they take 100 buckets out, and they continue doing wudu, and they come back again. They go, "Mufti, we've been doing wudu, but we can still see the hair of the donkey. We can see the blood of the donkey." He goes, "Oh, fools, did you take the donkey out before you took the water out?" They go, "No, you didn't tell us." He goes, "I thought that was common sense. You meant to first take out the problem, then deal with the after effects." So with the diseases of the heart, when you have the disease, for example, you're not sincere, there's no good in sitting and reading books about sincerity and watching videos on sincerity. That's you just taking the water out. But the problem is still there. It's like walking into a dark room and then reading about light. You can write a PhD study on light, but if the room is dark, the only thing to do, you need to turn the light on. For you to know about the science of darkness and the knowledge of darkness and how light works and how rays work, is not going to light that room up for you. You have to actively go get, even if you get a candle, it's more benefit than someone who comes in and goes, "Brother, should I tell you about darkness and light?" Oh, "Okay, yeah, please tell me." That's what we do. We go to these seminars, we sit there for 3 days, let's learn about sincerity. But how do we actively get sincerity? And we'll just stop on this. The best way to implement sincerity in your lives is you draw out a 30-day chart, and you then, every time you do a good act, reading Quran, Salah, whatever you do in your life, at the beginning of the act, you go, "Allah, I'm doing this for you." In the middle, you go, "Allah," you refresh it, "I'm doing this for you." And at the end, you go, "Ya Allah, I'm doing this for you." When you do that for 30 days, you're destroying the fortress of insincerity. You're bringing that light into the room. You're taking that donkey out. Yeah? So inshallah, we'll stop there. Subhanahu wa bihamdika. نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. أعوذ من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ربنا إننا وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. ربنا إننا آمنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تباركت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. اللهم أجرني من النار. اللهم أجرني من النار. اللهم إني نسألك الجنة ونعوذ بك من النار. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمسلمات. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله.